Okay, so the first point we're going to focus on is large intestine 20. In Chinese medical theory, we talked about organs being, based on Chinese medicine theory, we have internal organs and external organs. Everything's not just internal. So the external organs are considered yang organs, and the internal organs are considered yin organs. So when you have a specific organ, the idea is that what you do to one organ affects another. So they link organs together, they pair them together. The large intestine channel and organ is internally and externally related to the lung channel and lung organ, meaning that what you do to the lung channel, you are also doing in effect to the large intestine channel. Okay? So that is why when you have a cold or a sinus infection, something related to the upper respiratory system, you're going to, it's okay to needle points on the large intestine channel, if that makes sense, because you're going to be affecting the lung channel and affecting the large intestine channel. Mm-hmm. There are also other organs that are related to, a specific effect on a pathology, regardless of what channel it's from. But just the closest kind of relationship is for the large intestine is the lungs, and the closest relationship for the lungs is the large intestine, supposedly, theoretically. Okay? So,
both of those are external or internal?
The lung is internal,
mm-hmm.
and the large intestine is external. You'll kind of see, and I think I've come to this realization about the yin and the yang organs, and I don't want to speculate because I haven't really done all my research, but I believe that the yang organs are the more hollow organs. Hollow meaning like things pass through them, like urine, bowel movements pass through them. I believe that that's more of a yang activity as opposed to like the pancreas secreting enzymes or something like that being a more passive activity. Ideally more passive, but it's not, obviously it's more dynamic, but whatever, that's not really the point. But I think that's the theory behind it. So the large intestine channel is an invisible pathway of energetic flow. Chinese theory believes that the large intestine channel and the lung channel are internally and externally related pairs, that they have a relationship with each other and therefore act on each other energetically. This is why when there is a sinus problem, we reach for not only points in the lung channel, but also points in the large intestine channel. We will also use points from other channels, which we can draw relationships to on a later date. On page 34, we just looked at, has a picture of the large intestine meridian. A meridian and a channel are the same thing. Okay. The large intestine 20 acupressure point is located on each side of the nose. And the way this book describes it, it says at the beginning of the fold in the skin. I like this book's definition better of how to locate the point. And just make a note that large intestine 20 is the last point on the large intestine channel. They say that it is in the nasal labial groove. So that's just like where you fall into the groove there. Yeah, it's just like right there. And you can feel yourself kind of press there. Yep. And it just kind of like you can slide your fingers into it, like you fall into the point. I think that's a really good way to find it. Just fall into it. That point is actually located, and they have a really good picture here on 156 of the paranasals. So the point is actually located right over the paranasal sinuses. So that's why it stimulates the sinuses and stimulates drainage of mucosa down the back of your throat, opens up the sinuses, and helps to alleviate congestion. So it's not just like a mystical, magical thing. It's like literally over the sinuses. The paranasal sinuses include the frontal sinuses, which are here. The ethmoid sinuses, which are like around here. And then the maxillary sinuses. Your maxillary area is this whole area here. That keeps your teeth, in your face. So this is why stimulating these points, like I said, drain mucus down the back of the throat and relieve sinus pressure. So like in massage, it is important to drink water before, during, if possible, and after an acupressure treatment. There are muscles in your face. When you stimulate acupressure points, you are also pressing on muscle tissue. This, in turn, releases underlying toxins into your bloodstream, and it is important for you to flush them out. Doing an acupressure treatment should not hurt. Some discomfort is okay. The intention is to stimulate the point without causing further harm to the person that you're working on, or to yourself. It is also helpful to stretch and do deep breathing exercises before and after an acupressure treatment. This will help you relax and let go of whatever emotional, psychological, or spiritual issue you might be having that could be adding stress to you being sick in the first place. Deep breathing practices also aid in circulation and oxygenate the cells. So when you need to think about this, like, it's like when people have colds, the very first thing that they want to do is either take NyQuil, lay in their bed with their fever covered up in a whole bunch of blankets and have someone bring them soup. They don't think like, usually people don't think like, I'm going to get that echinacea, I'm going to run and get some vitamin C, and then I'm going to do some deep breathing exercises, push on my acupressure points, and, like, people aren't necessarily thinking like, I'm going to stimulate my immune system, oxygenate my cells, provide nutrients, like, it's like people aren't thinking that. Like, people are just thinking, I want to feel better. And the whole point of this is that you don't have to be powerless to something as annoying as a cold. I mean, colds can be super debilitating, like, you can't breathe, you got snot, it's gross, it's like, it can be super challenging to motivate yourself to fix yourself. But you will be really, really surprised at how empowered you feel when you start taking care of stuff on your own. It's like, I had the flu this morning. I don't have it anymore. Like, it was gross. I had some stuff going on, but it's like, once you get to a place where you recognize, which points are going to work on certain things, you learn how to trust that, and you start to gain, empowerment over sickness, which is a really cool thing. So it's important to do deep breathing practices because it's important to oxygenate your cells. Why is it important? Does anyone know what I mean when I say oxygenate your cells?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Keep your body oxygenated.
Okay.
When you're breathing in oxygen.
For what reason? How does that help your cells?
Fuse your cells.
Okay. You're the closest so far.
By bringing oxygen into your system, you fire. You fire the energy in the back.
Some people call that ATP. So, what happens is, by taking deeper breaths, you oxygenate or feed your cells. By feeding your cells, you promote proper blood circulation and help your immune system to engage. You are not powerless when you're sick. No matter how much you may feel that way, you can always do a little something to help along the process. Oxygen plays a vital role not only in our breathing processes, but in every metabolic process in the body. Nutrient compounds inside our cells are oxidized by enzymes, and this oxidation process is our main source of energy. In addition, healthy cells in the body are aerobic, meaning they require adequate levels of oxygen for cellular respiration and growth. When cells are deprived of oxygen for any reason, decay sets in, and cells can mutate or die. So, anybody, like, why do we need to oxygenate our cells?
So we don't mutate and die.
Basically. Yeah, so they don't mutate and die. So, you're feeding them. Like it said, healthy cells in the body are aerobic, meaning they require adequate levels of oxygen for cellular respiration. Like, your cells need to breathe so that they can grow. It's weird, right? But it's totally true. Enzymes in the body, when we inhale, Oxygen from the air we breathe is diffused through membranes and into red blood cells. The oxygen-rich red blood cells circulate through the body and finds the tissue that needs oxygen. So, like when you're taking deep, engaging breath, it's almost like the oxygen is like looking for the parts of the body. You know, the red blood cells are like looking for the parts of the body that are lacking in cellular oxidation, and then finds it, and then all of a sudden you have energy to move. So like a lot of the times when you're sick, you know, it's like you don't want to move, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that you're not taking deep breaths, you know, and obviously you're stuffy and it sucks, and you're like, I don't want to take deep breaths. I don't want to. But you should, you know, because that's going to give you energy to move and do what you need to do. Enzymes in the body combine with oxygen molecules and initiate many metabolic or oxidative processes in the body. One of the waste products of oxidation is carbon dioxide, which is released from the cells into the blood. It combines with hemoglobin and bicarbonates and is transported back to the lungs, where the process starts all over again. Health in the human body depends to a large degree on how effective nutrients can be absorbed and utilized at a cellular level, as well as how effectively the toxins and waste can be removed. Cellular waste is removed from the body in several ways. Part of the waste is dissolved in water and transported to the kidneys and the liver for filtration. Your kidneys filter 200 liters of blood a day. 200 liters. That's 100 2-liter bottles of pop a day that your kidneys have to do their job in. When we don't drink water, it's making your kidneys work harder. Like, they have to work hard already, but like when they don't have pure sustained food source, which is water for the body, then they have to work all that much harder, which is why people's kidneys give out, you know, especially if they have some kind of kidney related disorder. So drink water. That's my point. Acupressure can help to detoxify your internal organs, as it helps to detoxify your blood, which is why it is beneficial to do, another reason why it is beneficial to do acupressure for yourself on a physiological level. The breathing exercises, there's something called Qigong, which I'm not going to get super into, but the breathing exercises of Qigong, you know, there's all these like scientist people now like trying to figure out, you know, how those particular sounds and breath release techniques are actually detoxing the organs. Like, why is that happening? You know, why is the vibration combined with that particular style of exhalation actually detoxing your organs? You know, I don't really care. Like, but it's just something to be mindful of. Also, when you're doing pressure points, what is your intention? Is your intention to sedate and relax and calm someone? Is your intention to detox, to remove toxins from their bloodstream, bring them up so that they can flush them out when they go to the bathroom or when they drink water? Is your intention to open up their chi or their spirit? You know, are you taking it from a metaphysical perspective? You know, it's like all these things are important. Or is it just to say, I want to provide some kind of relief for this person who has a specific illness? And I think knowing your intention when you're doing the points really changes the overall effect, because the way that you touch the client is, or the person or yourself is going to change. When we get to techniques, we'll talk about, you know, sedative techniques versus stimulating techniques and that sort of thing. So anyways, cellular waste is removed from the body in several ways. Part of the waste is dissolved in water and transported to the kidneys and liver for filtration. It is then eliminated through the urine and bowels. Toxins are also excreted from the body through perspiration. However, some of the most toxic poisons in the body can only be burnt up and neutralized through oxidation. This is the job of oxygen-rich blood cells that circulate from the lungs and into the deeper organs and glands of the body, minimizing your exposure to environmental toxins, such as using air and water filters, eating organic foods, using toxic-free personal care products, while restoring oxygen balance in the body is a common sense plan for cellular rejuvenation and disease prevention. That, it's really funny because I went to a monastery yesterday, and that was my question actually to the monk. How do you live and eat and move in this world where we're destroying everything? Where the food is poison and the water is poison, and even when you try to get clean water, you're going to use a bottle, which is going to, wrap around the earth like 16 million times. And, it's like, how do you find, like, a way to take care of yourself, even though you know that caring for yourself also aids in the destruction and deterioration of the entire world? So, the car that I drove to get to meditation, we're going to burn up all the fossil fuels before this lifetime is over. Like all of these things that make you kind of crazy. You use Neutrogena to wash your face and the microbeads don't break down in the water, and so they last forever, and but they just keep selling it in America, and then but I don't want pimples, like how do you find a happy medium? And it's very interesting. One of the answers that was given to me was, individual level. You do what you can on an individual level. You take personal responsibility for what you can do, so that's what we do when we're sick. We take personal responsibility. We do what we can do. If it's beyond our control, we seek help. If it's not beyond our control, then get up, go run around the house a couple of times so that you get energized, chug a whole bunch of water if you need to detoxify, figure out which herbs or vitamins you need to take, do some acupressure points. And, when that's all said and done, give it a minute to do its job, and then, maybe then go to sleep. But, it's just more about taking that personal responsibility for yourself and not being so reliant on, sometimes you just need NyQuil to go to sleep because you just don't want to be in pain anymore. I understand. You want to drug yourself, want to get a little alcohol fix. It's all good. But there are other ways to deal with it. So the very first thing, that being said, we're going to introduce a couple of breathing exercises before we get started on techniques for stimulation for large intestine 20. I was going to talk a little bit about power and control and intention. Like, once you start to develop these breathing exercises are super powerful. Like, I learned the one that I'm going to teach you right now when I was like 21, so it was like 13 years ago. And when I started doing this exercise, I was just so euphoric, and I just felt so good all the time, and I just felt super empowered, and and then your ego takes over, and then you're gonna save the world with your stolen yogic breathing exercise from some book you got from the library or Borders or something. But so just be mindful that when you start doing these practices, you will feel empowered, but it's not necessarily necessary to get all egocentric about it. So anyways, so the very first exercise, everybody, you're going to lay on the floor. So you can put your pillow under your head or like whatever you need to do. Now move this so you can stretch your legs out. We won't be doing it long enough for you to fall asleep. Okay. I'll be like, everybody snore. Okay, so you're gonna lay down on the floor, and go ahead and let your arms fall to the floor if you could, and be in kind of anatomical position. Anatomical position means that your palms are up, facing up. And Taylor, why don't you close that door, sweetie, so you're not crooked?
Oh, okay.
Better? Okay, so all you're really going to do is you're just going to feel the gravity around you and just let it make you feel like you're like sinking into the floor. Like you feel heavy and you feel the weight of your body. Just like feel your body, like what gravity wants to do, which is pull everybody saggy. Just let it do that for you. So just be aware of like your entire body. And what you're going to do is you're going to, they call them jiaos in Chinese theory. It's like your lower jiao is kind of like below your umbilical cord, that whole area there, like where your reproductive system kind of sits, like if you were pregnant, where the baby would kind of start, I guess. And then the middle jiao is kind of like your navel and above, kind of just like your, like if you had a stomach ache, like where you would grab if you had a stomach ache. And then your upper jiao is like your upper chest. So what we're going to do is compartmentalize our breathing, and we're going to take a deep, deep breath into the lowest region where our reproductive system is. You're going to take a deep breath there. When you take your deep breath there, you're not going to fill completely up, because next you're going to take a deep breath into your middle jiao and just kind of add air onto the lower jiao. And then you're going to take an even deeper breath into your upper jiao, your upper chest. And when you exhale this air, you're not going to make a sound. So it's going to be lower jiao inhale, middle jiao inhale on top of that, upper jiao inhale, and then let it all out through your nose with no sound. And kind of almost contract your abdomen when you get down to the lowest part of your breath, and just make sure that you're completely empty. And then you're going to fill up again, starting from your lower jiao, adding to your middle jiao, adding to your upper jiao, and slowly exhale through the nose with no sound. And go ahead and do about 5 or 6 repetitions of that. Okay, so try to focus on breathing into your lower jiao, then breathing into your middle jiao, then breathing into your upper jiao. And slowly exhale through your nose without a sound. Now I'm just going to come around and check you. Go ahead and breathe here. And then breathe here. And then breathe here. And then slowly let it all out through your nose, nice and slow. And then start here. There you go. And then go here, add here, and then add here. Good. And slowly let it out through your nose. Okay. So go ahead and empty. I'm going to take a deep breath here with my hands. And then add here. And then add here. And then let it slowly through your nose. One more time. Deep breath here. And then add here. And then add here. And let it slowly, quietly through your nose. And let all the air leave your body. There you go. Into the neck. Go ahead and check your feet over there. Okay, go ahead and take a deep breath where my hand is. And then up here. Yep, and then here. Yep, go ahead and exhale. Yep. So deep breath here. Yep. Here. And then out here. There you go. And exhale through your nose quietly. Good job. closer. Almost think like you're gonna take a breath here. There you go. There you go. Very nice. It's kind of an ab workout, like if you actually do it right. So lower here, 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 and let it out nice and slow. Good. Check you. Okay, take a deep breath where my hand is. And then you're going to fill here. So this doesn't happen yet. So go ahead and exhale. And a subtle breath where my hand is. And then add air here. And then add air here. And a lot of this has to do with this pillow. So I'll put my head on my ground. There you go. Okay, so try that again. A subtle breath here. And then add air here. And then add air here. And slowly exhale through your nose with no sound. So all the air is gone. And again, here. And here. And here. And so exhale. So almost let your first breath be like you're breathing into your butt. Like your butt is expanding. So take a deep breath again. Like you can feel your coccyx move when you take that first breath. And let it out nice and slow. Good. Good job, guys. So that's a really good way. Everybody's chilling now. Like that's a really, really good way to just get into that state. It's a good thing to do not only when you're about to give yourself acupressure, but also if you are planning, if you end up doing acupressure for people, if you're planning to work on other people, it's a good way to center yourself and be connected to your breath before you start working on people. Staying connected to your breath will help you to minimize the energetic kind of effect that happens while you're working on other people and picking up other people's stuff, which just happens, while you're touching other people's body. So you can go ahead and sit up nice and slow. Nice and slow, everybody. Do I have to sit up? And the next breathing exercise, I just call it plug the nostril. And it's actually a good breathing technique. And I couldn't really I was so amazed by this when I started doing this. But all you basically are doing is you're gonna empty out, and then you're gonna literally take one nostril and push it in closed. Now you're gonna inhale through your nose. And exhale through your nose. And again. And it's crazy, right? Why can you take a deeper breath when you do that? And I don't understand it. But I think I kind of started asking my teacher about it in anatomy class, but I don't think he really gave me an answer. But if you are stuffy, or you are having a panic attack, or you can't find your breath. Sometimes I just can't find my breath. I'll be trying to connect with my breath and I just can't, it's all over the place and it feels choppy and disconnected. Just and it's super cool because, they call it what do they call it? The air buzz? You get an air buzz. It's if you do enough deep breathing exercises, you start being so connected to your breath, you get kind of euphoric. I would do this for 45 minutes or something, I'd be laying on the ground just by the time it was over, I just was on another plane. So it's just like, this is awesome. So it's a really quick way to de-stress yourself. It's a good way to de-stress yourself, and it's a good way to oxygenate your cells very quickly. So, what we're going to do now is I'm going to introduce, I said I'd talk a little bit about essential oils. We're just going to actually bought, where did I put it? Did I leave it out here? Yes, I did. Okay. I bought eucalyptus oil. I was going to use rose oil, but I changed my mind. Just because we're doing colds, it makes more sense. So when you're going to do an acupressure treatment, essential oils can be very beneficial. For example, eucalyptus oil opens up the respiratory tracts. It opens up the sinuses. It's like Vicks. So like if you want a more natural approach and you don't want to put Vicks on your kids, this is the way to go. Peppermint oil, eucalyptus oil. I have a whole list here. Let me see. Yeah. Wintergreen, camphor, like any of those kind of Vixy smelling oils. If you go to the Burmese market that they have over on Pontiac and what is that, Pontiac and Calhoun, they have some kind of like it kind of smells like Tire Balm, but it's an oil. It's like a healing medicinal oil, and I'm pretty sure it's just like camphor oil that you can rub on your chest or any kind of achy. It kind of feels like icy hot. They use that for like musculoskeletal, just achiness or whatever, but that's another good one to inhale. So I'm just going to put a couple of drops on everybody's hand. So, drop, 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 drop. And you're just going to rub it in to your hands, both hands. Drop, drop. Super strong. You don't need much. And then if you're doing somebody's face, you don't want to put oil on their face, okay? If you're doing somebody's points along their arms or something like that, then you can feel free to keep oil on your hands while you stimulate the point. But what you're going to do, since we're not going to, really put oil on anybody's face or anything, you're just going to take your hands like this and inhale. And this person has a cold, so you can, you could rub it on their chest. You could rub it on, just down the meridian. We know where the whole channel is now, so we could just rub that along the whole meridian and just miss the face, because you don't need to put oil on your face because you don't need to break anybody out. So that's also a quick way to clear the channel, is to trace it and then use an essential oil to help clear it. Essential oils supposedly have energetic properties, so.
And you can just use it like that,
Yep, just like that.
Interesting.
Especially eucalyptus oil.
Like Vicks.
Yeah, especially eucalyptus oil. Like when you have a sinus cold, like a head cold, and you can't breathe. You can make a tea with eucalyptus leaves. You can use eucalyptus oil, and you can give yourself an acupressure treatment. You'll probably start feeling better pretty quick. So obviously depending on how long you waited to work on it and whether or not you've been treating it anyway, but so when you grab, or when you, let me not miss this, a good thing to do also is to stretch and open up the chest. So just put your hands here, and you're going to inhale. And then you're going to exhale, open your arms, and kind of spread your fingers kind of far, and just extend. So you're trying to stretch your arm muscles and reach and extend. And then you're going to inhale, exhale, and extend back. And we're just going to open up our chest, open up our arms, take deep breaths. and then come back in. It's like, just stretch. So, like, what you'll notice is, like, if you're going to work on somebody, obviously you need to take care of yourself just as much as you're taking care of them. And in that treatment, you receive healing. It's not just about them getting better, and it's not just about your power to make them get better. It's about your, understanding of your own body and what you need, and why that person is even in front of you in the first place, Like, are they in front of you because you have something to see, or are they in front of you because they have something to see? Like, who knows, But you need to take responsibility for protecting yourself, like, while you're working on the people. So, when you stimulate one point on a channel, you are activating the entire channel. It's not like, I'm doing large intestine 11, and it only has an effect on large intestine 11. Like, a good metaphor for that I like to think of is like, it's like when you eat. It's like you're not just feeding your hungry stomach. Like, you're giving nutrients and providing nutrients for your entire body. Like, when you stimulate an acupressure point, you're not just stimulating the acupressure point, you're stimulating the entire channel. So, depending on what you want to do with that, if you want to take the time out of your life and kind of look at what comes up for you when you press on certain points and, like, deal with the psychological and emotional, stuff, or even just muscle memory. It's like your muscles have memories. It's like when you start massaging people, that's why when, people are on our table and are rubbing them, they, like, start crying and stuff. Like, weird things happen. It's just because it brings stuff up for them, like, while they're on the table. And they're like, what the H? So you got to kind of deal with something. So that also happens with acupressure at times. So just be mindful of that. So in order to stimulate large intestine 20, what you're going to do is you're going to find the point. You're going to press in on the point. You're going to hold it for about a minute. It's 7:30 right now, so you would hold it till 7:31. You're going to breathe while you hold the point. You have various breathing techniques available to you now. And what I like to do is, you have lots of muscles in your face, and if you want to aid or help in some way, focusing or putting attention on different areas of your facial musculature, frontalis, orbicularis, oris, frontalis being the muscle that is attached to your forehead, orbicularis oris being the muscles around your lips, orbicularis oculi, the muscles around your eyes, the masseter muscles that help you with mastication. You chew all day. Think into those muscles and think about relaxing them while you're pressing on the point. It gives you something else to concentrate instead of focusing all your attention on the point. After a minute of that, you're going to go clockwise. You're going to take a clockwise circle as you push. This is a sensitive area for a lot of people, so if it feels uncomfortable, like, lighten up your touch. Like, it doesn't have to hurt. If you feel like you need more pressure, just go ahead and add more pressure. And you're going to do this clockwise motion for about a minute. Continuing to notice your breath. And then you're going to do a counterclockwise motion for about a minute. Good. And you have it on both sides, so you can do clockwise on, this side. I'm going wrong. Clockwise on this side. The slower you move your finger, the more sedative the effect. So, like, if you're trying to calm someone down, like, you're going to go kind of slow circles. If you're trying to invigorate them, you might use faster circles. Another technique that they don't actually talk about in this book is called tapping. Tap, 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 tap. That's a way to break up stagnant chi. That's what they call it. Or break up detox, I guess. You're going to break up the stagnant area. My chest just went like it's very cool. So anyways, so those are 3 techniques. So what we're going to do is we're going to pair up. You guys have 2 people. And I'm going to show you very quickly 2 other points. And you guys have the techniques now, and I don't really need to go too deep into it. The other point we're going to work is called lung 9. So if you take your thumb, this patch of muscle here is called the thenar eminence. And you're going to follow that into this groove here. There's a little groove right there. That's lung 9. Lung 9 is good for opening up the chest. On the other side, it's bilateral. These points are bilateral, which means they're on both sides. Okay, so we have lung 9, and we're also going to do conception vessel 17. So to find this point, you actually use your nipples, and to find this point, it's at the exact intersection of where your nipples would be. So it's like right in the middle of your chest on the sternum. So what you're going to do is be careful with your sternum. Your sternum is very sensitive. You're going to push on your sternum, press for 1 minute. Then you're going to do clockwise for a minute and then counterclockwise. But you're going to do it on a partner. So have your partner or client lay down, and you're going to do large intestine 20, lung 9, and conception vessel 17. Okay? If you want to have them, if you want to have them do inhales, if you want to have them do deep breathing, you are the guide. Yeah, why don't you give him that one? Yeah, there you go.
What do I just lay here?
Welcome to Ursula's House of Acupressure. So start with the pressure first. You press for 1 minute.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you can tell your client to breathe. Notice your breath. Take long, deep breaths.
I can hear your pulse.
No, I did too. Both of them when she was saying it.
Thump, 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 thump.
Yeah.
What kinds of things as a giver do you think about, or are you focused on your breath? Are you like?
You know, it really varies on the day, but like, it depends on the day, and it depends on how that person is affecting me. If I feel like having my hand touching them is bringing up lots of images that make me feel uncomfortable, sometimes I will do my Buddhism thing and chant and things in my mind. If I just want to notice my breath and I just want to relax, I'll just do you can do the yogic breathing, or you can just observe your breath in and out. Or you can place your attention on a visualization that you want to do, if that's something that you're into. You can also do the whole concept of observing your own musculature. So kind of like, my attention is on frontalis and now it's on temporalis, and kind of work your way down your whole body, like with your awareness, and that just makes you aware of your own pains and kind of like what you need to be dealing with, instead of focusing all your attention on them. But what you don't want to necessarily do is give all your power away to the person who's on the table. I have to fix you. Like that's really not the point. Like their body can fix itself, which is what you're doing. You're just stimulating a response that's already in there.
It's interesting. It's kind of like the opposite of massage. In massage, you're like putting energy there, and this you're like putting your finger on a spot where you want to stop the blood flow temporarily, and then when you release it, it comes back.
Mm-hmm.
It seems just kind of like it's a different approach, I guess, in my mind.
Yeah, that's interesting perspective. Like I think that, like for me, massage is like what I'm telling you is what I do during a massage. Like my intention is to notice my intention to give power away during a massage. It's not to actually give any away. And you become a stronger massage therapist when you have that disconnect, between you and the client. That space between, you know?
Yeah.
And you don't feel as ripped off when they don't tip you. Oh. Just a second, I got it. It's probably my guitar seat. I got it. Hey guys. Hey, we're not quite done yet, so just have a seat, okay? Alright.
Busy night tonight.
What?
Busy night in the office.
Yeah. Good job. I'm seeing all the diaphragms rise. Way to go, clients on the table. Okay, go ahead and move to lung 9.
What's the diet?
Lung 9 is here. See this? There's the bump on the thumb, and then you're going to follow it down, right, into the groove here. And you can add more pressure than that, Taylor. It's okay. And while you guys are doing that, I'll just tell you the functions of like lung 9 and what it does for you. So it tonifies the lung and transforms phlegm. It promotes the descending function of the lung. In Chinese medicine, the qi descends from the lung. To deportively downbear is what they call it. I really don't want to get into too much of this theory, but to deportively downbear to all the other places where the energy is needed. So supposedly the energy enters your lungs and then goes through a process of purification and then spreads itself to all other important organs. So it regulates and harmonizes the 100 vessels, and it activates the channel and alleviates pain. Indications that you need to use lung 9 are cough, watery phlegm, asthma, wheezing, shortness of breath, yawning, heat in the palms, dry throat. So anything kind of difficulty associated with breathing, difficulty and an ability to lie down. And then I'm going to go to conception vessel 17 and kind of talk about what that is.
Oh.
And I'm reading you very, very short definitions. These definitions are extremely long and ancient. Exactly. So, conception vessel 17 eliminates wind. Wind is a pain that moves from one place to the other. So it's like you have pain here, and then you have pain here. It's almost like aching. Then you have pain here. They call it wind in Chinese medicine, when the pain moves. It also benefits the eyes. So, if your eyes are, burny or stingy or itchy or whatever, for whatever reason. And it also calms the spirit. So this is a really good point right here for calming the spirit, right in the center of the chest. Because that is supposedly where your Shen is located, your heart center is located. Shen is spirit in Chinese medicine theory. So Indications that you need to use this point are heaviness of the head, or headwind, the movement, or dizziness. I think that's what you would call headwind. Aversion to wind in the head, wind dizziness, swelling and pain of the head, pain in the face, stiffness and pain in the neck. So all this stuff kind of being associated, like when you have cold symptoms, at least, for what we're using it for, like when you have just that equilibrium imbalance, kind of weird head, stuffy head, floaty thing that happens when you get a cold. So, but I find that this point is actually just very beneficial for calming the spirit, especially if you're coughing really hard and stuff like that and you can't, stop the cough, or if you're just anxious and stressed out because of the cold, I find that it can be helpful with that. So, make sure you're in the right place. Did you find his nipples?
No.
You gotta find his nipples, and it's in the center of the
Oh.
chest. Yeah. So just press. You're gonna press with 2 fingers and just hold. Or you can use your thumb, if that's easier. Whatever's easier for you. Is that too uncomfortable for you, K2? Okay. Okay? Cool. So those are 3 points. I would like to continue with more points at some point. No.